the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
The Jets played an entire half of football on Sunday, and at the end of that half of football, the New York Jets led the football game. If that's not progress, I don't know what is. Sure, they didn't score again, barely gained Mekhi Becton's weight in the second half in yardage, but they led this game at halftime. Welcome to the Athletics Can't Wait podcast. Tim McMaster here, along with Connor Hughes and our producer, Marissa Morris. We're going to get to all of that stuff. Give us a 5-star rating if you're tuning in on Apple, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We're going to get to the decision to go with Loggins to make the play calls. We'll talk about Mims. We'll talk about Perine, all that stuff. But before we get to that, Connor, you got a new phone, so we got to check in on that. A little tech for the tech nerd.
Yeah. Oh, you guys know I'm into tech. In fact, I'm ordering as we speak on Amazon because we had that issue a couple weeks ago with my Wi-Fi cutting in and out. And it's because when Bree and I moved in together, and anyone who has moved in with their significant other probably has realized this, and especially one with a strong personality like Bree. And I'm sure that Marissa's boyfriend, future fiance, is going to go through this same fiasco. Is that when you set things up in the house, you don't do it necessarily the way that things are supposed to be done. You do them the way that your significant other wants them done. So when I was at the apartment, when Bree and I first moved together, this apartment, the Verizon Fios guy came in and he was installing, putting Fios in our house or our apartment, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, okay. He goes, so where do you want the router? And I was like, well, we have our entertainment system over here. My plan is to hardline everything, my PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. I want the box in here. And the guy goes, I'm going to have to put holes in walls, and it's going to have to link because it's going to come in from the bedroom and then come over. And as soon as I heard holes in walls, my brain immediately went to Bree's going to kill me. No, I can't put holes in these walls. No, even though the TV's mounted to the wall and there's holes here, and no. I can't put holes in the wall. I was like, no, we can't do that. She's not here. I can't ask if that's okay. Just do it. In hindsight, what the guy meant was a pee hole hiding the cable underneath the rug. He just didn't want to do the work. He was lazy. He just wanted to get in and out. So he was trying to discourage me. It totally worked because I started freaking out. So we have our Wi-Fi modem in our bedroom. We have 3 sets of walls before you get to where it is. So that 5G internet that I'm paying out my ass for, it's dead by the time it gets to where. So I'm having 20 meg of internet by the time I get to my family room. So finally I got pissed. I called up my dad, who's a big tech geek like I am. I was like, man, we got to do something. So basically it would have been a whole hell of an issue to literally take the modem, because we also have Fios cable, and run it all the way through. So we basically put a switcher out there, blah, blah, blah. So my big tech project right now that I'm doing is for the Wi-Fi shenanigans that we had last week or 2 weeks ago I'm putting a switcher in my office, the hardline cable. I'm just hardlining everything. So we're never going to have any issue with Wi-Fi anymore because everything's going to be hardlined. But I did also get the phone, which we were talking about, obviously. And I think my big thing with this, man, is I like it. I needed it because I had the iPhone XS, and everything I have is Mac. I'm doing this on a MacBook Pro. My iPad's sitting next to me. My other work MacBook Pro is next to me, and my iPhone. And I have my Apple Watch. Everything communicates with each other. My whole thing, though, is honestly, the jump from XS to this one, aside from the camera and your every single year they talk about better speeds, better battery lives. Aside from all of that, I don't really see that big of a difference. I needed to upgrade because my XS, after I updated it to the newest iOS, it was starting to overheat and starting to get finicky.
The 2-year barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
So I hit it. So I was like, I need a new phone. It has to be done. I was able to trade in 2 phones to get it really cheap. But as far as what this phone does, don't get me wrong, the pictures are freaking ridiculous. The videos are freaking ridiculous. But it's the same phone. And that's my biggest issue with Apple. And ever since Jobs died, is that's what drives me crazy. Is it's the Apple used to be so revolutionary. Every year they used to do something that blew your mind, and you're like, oh my God, how does my phone do this? Oh my God. I mean, just look at what phones looked like before Apple, and the fact that now every single one of them looks in some variation like this. Every single phone, whether it's the Galaxy, whether it's the Google Pixel, they all look in some way, shape, or form like this. It's them based off of the Apple, which was the first people to say no more buttons. It's all going to be touchscreen. And I use this phone now, though, and nothing has really changed that makes me say holy crap, this is so okay. Yeah, it's a better camera. but like that's all that better cameras have been the point of phones like every single year. So I'm honestly a little pissed off with it just because I have it. And I'm like, there's still nothing that's new. There's still nothing that makes me say like, wow, look what Apple did. And it's been that way forever. And it's like, the one thing that really pisses me off is how like back when like Jobs was running, it was always like, make it smaller, smaller. It can be thinner. It can be smaller. We can get the same power in a smaller picture. And now they're like, no, let's just put an iPad in your pocket. Let's make it the biggest. It drives me like the iPhone Pro Max. Like I was looking at it when I was there and I'm like, I don't need this. I have an iPad. Like, why do I want something this big? It doesn't even fit in my pocket. Like, why would I want this? And then I look at this, I'm like, all right, I get home, I have it, start it up, fire it up. And I'm like, okay, aside from the iOS, which is new and cool, and I love the little widgets that you can do and all that stuff, I'm looking at it, I was like, I don't see anything here. Like I'm a little depressed with it. I'm happy it's upgraded. I'm happy it's running smoothly again, but I'm a little depressed with the whole thing, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, that's really the only thing that you get that's new now with Apple products is like some kind of new adapter that doesn't work with anything else, so that you need like 3 dongles to make anything work with your computer. But yeah, definitely, I sense the frustration. I'm still on the 11, so I have a year before it doesn't work anymore because of that 2-year factor. But all right, let's get to the Jets because the offense did work for a drive on Sunday, and we want to talk about that. Connor, Loggins calling the plays, and that was the big news early in this game, was that he had taken that over, and Adam Gase is spending more time, paying attention to the defense, talking to individual players on the offense. And for a half, or not even really a half, but for a chunk of that first half, it felt like, okay, now we're on to something. Of course, then the second half came, which we'll get to. But in your mind, what was different about the play calling with Loggins that allowed them to go on? I mean, really, the one drive was 7 plays, 80 yards, and the touchdown that kind of gave, I think, all Jets fans a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was kind of honestly maddening looking at once Dowell took this thing over and once Dowell started doing his thing and calling the plays is that a lot of what the Jets were doing, a lot of the things that were leading to success in that first half, a lot of the things that were leading to big plays and chunk plays and things of that nature were the things that we've been talking about them doing and how they should be doing it forever, man. Like they were getting the young guys involved. It was Perine, not Gore. It was throwing the ball to Mims. It was the motions, right? Like how many times did you see guys coming in motion? You saw RPOs, you saw read options, although it didn't work on the 4th and 1, but still like you saw these little intricacies. And the one thing I loved more than anything else is you saw Sam getting out of the pocket and moving. Like you saw him getting out, because where Sam is so great, and it's kind of a little funky, and I'm not terribly sure why, but like he's most comfortable when he's moving. He's most comfortably on the run. He's most comfortable when everything else is breaking down. Like the perfect pocket, set your feet, make the throw. That's usually where he has these random physical breakdowns. It's where he doesn't position his feet the right way, but he still tries to contort his body and it goes wide and the pass is errant. Like when everything is perfect and where everything is like that perfect little petri dish for a quarterback to have success, that's where Sam goes like, no, this doesn't work, and like does something silly. But like when he's out moving, when he's got the pressure, when he has to like kind of finagle his body and move it a little bit and then deliver a pass like he did to Mims on his very first completion, that was where everything was not right. He still made the play, and you can maximize his ability to do that by getting him out and moving, getting on the run, getting him on boots, on little like, kind of just come around the pocket and then throw. And that's what the Jets were doing. You saw, like I said, him moving out of the pocket. You saw the guys in motion. You saw the young guys getting involved, and the Jets started moving the ball up and down the field. And what was so frustrating is that this is what we've been calling for the Jets to do for the last year and a half. It was what we called for the Jets to do all of last season, what we called for the Jets to do the first 6 weeks of this season. And it took that new guy, that new voice, that new someone to talk about or someone to call the play, someone else in there to make those adjustments, make it happen, and eventually lead to some first half success. Look, the Jets put up 10 points. And I know that's like just on the pace for 20. And that's like a very low level scoring offense. But for how bad the Jets have been, that actually seemed like an accomplishment. And if you take into consideration the fact that they were a 1 yard away from picking up another first down and potentially a touchdown in the red zone, this could have been 17 points in the first half. I mean, the first drive also stalled. It could have been 21 points. I mean, the Jets were moving the ball up and down the field, 186 yards in the first half. That's on pace for over 300 for the first time this year, which again, when you saw Sunday night, both the Cardinals and Seahawks putting up over 500, it's a very low bar to clear. We're talking about pedestrian offensive numbers, but for this team, that would have been a step in the right direction. And I honestly do believe that Dowell calling the plays and Adam not overthinking everything, where he's kind of still having his pulse on the game and managing the game, and also what's the defense doing, and then calling the plays and then putting together the game plan and working with the quarterbacks. I think taking some off of his plate and allowing him to be head coach Adam Gase with then offensive coordinator Dowell Loggins for at least 30 minutes, it worked. And like I said, man, they scored 10 points. They had a chance to add at least 3 or 7 more if they didn't convert that fourth down. And then they had the ball at the end of the half with a chance to drive down the field and score again. But Sam, as he does every single one of his games, threw a pass that makes you say, what the hell was that? And it was picked off.
So that brings up another question, though, right? The first half was good, and Dowell Loggins was calling the plays and doing the right things. But then halftime comes, adjustments come. McDermott's a very good defensive mind on the other side, and obviously he made some changes here. And then the Jets failed. I mean, this is beyond like failing to adjust to what the other team does. 4 yards, Connor. 4 yards in the second half is, I mean, fall forward a couple times and you're going to get 4 yards. So why can't, for an offensive coaching staff that is brilliant, I'll use the word.
Yep. Say it. Yep. Say it.
How can they not change? How can they not know the adjustments are coming and go a different direction in the second half for some sort of progress?
That's been the bugaboo for the Jets for the last year and a half. It's that this team goes in the locker room and there's never those halftime adjustments. There's never though, okay, this is working and that happened. You know, if football is chess, man, it's a cliche, but that's the fact. It's like you're anticipating what your opponent's going to do. Then when your opponent does it, you react to it, and you're constantly adjusting to what he's doing, what you're doing, and you're trying to find like that advantage. And for the Jets, it's almost like they put together game plans, and they have the last year and a half. They've put together some game plans that in the first half work. Like that, they are working. They're moving the ball. They're effective. The run game's there. The receiving game's there. The passing game there. The run game there. They're blocking well. Like things are working. Then they go in at half. The defense says, okay, the opposing defense goes in and says, okay, this is what they're doing. This is how we believe we can stop it. First 2 drives of the half, just comes out trying to do the same exact thing. Doesn't work. Instead of then adjusting to the adjustments, which is what Sam Darnold alluded to when he talked to us on Zoom. They dash away and keep trying to get it through. I don't know why, but this was probably the most slap in your face example of not making those halftime adjustments.
And there goes Connor. I will see if we can get back here in a moment. Hopefully he knows that he's gone. And at least we kind of prepped this by discussing everything about his Wi-Fi and hardwiring and terrible setup at home. So everybody should be ready for this.
And we could talk about, while he's gone, we could talk about our pick. Oh, he's
I jinxed
back.
it, didn't I? I jinxed it. I jinxed it. I said we were going to make the Wi-Fi work and all that stuff. And immediately, like, we're not even 2 minutes into this thing and the thing cuts out instantly. We knew it was going to happen though, right? Like we knew that was going to happen. It just disappeared. Yep. Like that's the weird thing, is that my Zoom box just disappeared. Like TweetDeck's still going, Slack is still going, all of this stuff's still going. And my Zoom just disappeared. And I felt like I was kind of getting on a little rhythm there. I was rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Better. Do you remember when it disappeared?
Am I talking fine?
Yeah.
You're good now.
You're good now. I was gonna fill by talking about me winning the picks again this week, but
you didn't win the picks again this week.
I did.
We're gonna get into this.
I was 2-2. I pushed. Cody Parkey's missed extra point. No. Yeah, I think you
2-1. Giants, which we can talk about.
So I went Giants. Don't even get me started. So you went 2-1, but I went 2-0-1. Right.
Yeah,
a push counts as a.
Oh yes, yeah. That's not a loss. Yeah, you didn't go 2-1. You went 2-0-1. Yeah, you're fine then. Yeah. Okay, you still went up.
Yeah. 2. So I'm still beating you because you got an extra loss in there.
Okay.
So it's
There's
like
a lot
a
of
half
season
game
left. It's a lot of season left, as the Jets would say.
Just saying.
No, but as I was saying, like you mentioned, like the first half, they're rocking and rolling, right? I mean, they're 186 yards. They are offenses moving the ball through the air. They're moving the ball on the ground. Sam Darnold looks good. Perine looks good. Mims looks good. Perryman's making some plays. Frank Gore, even like the whole Frank Gore Perine dynamic is working because Perine is the focal point, but then Gore's checking in with that physicality and picking up the extra yards. Everything's working. To go from that to go in the locker room, come out, Sean McDermott makes his adjustment, says, okay, I think I've got Dow Loggins figured out. And the Dow and the Jets adjustments to Sean McDermott's adjustments are plays that result in one single first down, plays that lead their quarterback to complete one pass in the second half. Sam completed one single pass in the second half. They gained 4 total yards. Like, that is ridiculous. Even go back, even after that interception, right? The Sam Darnold throws that terrible interception, right? The Jets had 6 possessions after that interception from Sam Darnold. 0 points, 25 yards, 4 punts, and 2 additional picks. Or 2 picks. Or after that touchdown, sorry. So the Jets scored that touchdown, right? They moved down the field. They scored that touchdown. After that touchdown, they had 6 possessions. 0 points, 25 yards, 4 punts, and 2 interceptions. That's what they did after their touchdown drive. Then not only you go in the half and you come out with 4 yards, 1 first down, and your quarterback completes 1 pass. Like, that is just, and granted, 1 was called back because of Mekhi Becton's illegal formation, but still, that's like, holy cow. Like, that is just, like, this Jets offense has been bad this year. Like, this Jets offense has struggled. They've had their issues. They've had their problems. Every week seems to be something else. But in that second half, I haven't seen this offense look worse than what it did. I have never seen an offense look worse than what the Jets did in the second half of that game against the Bills. 4 yards. I'll be honest, man. If you ran me into the middle of the line every single play for a second half, I can probably get at least 10. Like, just by running straight forward. Just running straight forward, hoping I fall forward enough. You can probably get at least 10. They had 4 all half. That is just, it is mind-blowing. And we talk about, like, every week, man, we talk about it where it's, you know, they reach new depths of rock bottom. They redefine rock bottom. This was one where, like, for how they looked in that first half, to go in the locker room and come out with how they looked in the second half, I did not know that was possible. I truly didn't know that was possible. And you can't really blame Adam Gase for this one because he wasn't the one calling the plays. And I don't know, unless now you want to not have Dowell call the plays, you want to have Jim Bob Cooter call the plays. I don't know, but woof, man, that was something else. And
Gase did not. He said basically we're week to week on the play calling, so you wonder if that second half made him think, "Oh, I can do better than that," which he's proven throughout the season that he can't. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with that next week. Specifically to Darnold, you know, he was 11 for 13, 116 yards early on, then 1 for 10 for the 4 yards later. So the mixed numbers there is terrible. You mentioned the bad throw that we've come to expect. Then there was also the great throw that we've come to also expect. For this one, it was 3rd and 20. Everyone knows they're passing. And Darnold with a perfect pass to Berrios to kind of find space for 23 yards and a first down. And at that point, everybody's saying, here he is. This is the guy. This is that top draft pick that we got that can lead this team. But then there's so much of the other stuff.
That's what it is. That's Sam. That's the Sam we've seen over the last 3 years, 2+ years. That's Sam Darnold. That is who he is. He's the guy that is going to make throws to he has the physical talent that you're going to see 2, 3, 4, 5 plays every single week where you're like, holy cow, look what this guy just did. Look at that throw. Look at that accuracy. Look at that escapability. The touchdown pass he threw to Berrios, I think it was against the 49ers, was it? Where he rolls out left and then throws across his body like that for it. You know, the play against the Packers his rookie year, you know, the plays against the Cowboys when he first came back out of mono. I mean, every single game he plays, even the worst of them, with the exception of maybe the Seeing Ghost Patriots game, every single other game you can flip on the film and you can find 3 to 5 Sam Darnold passes a game that just you look at it and you're like, wow. Just wow. But what has prevented Sam from taking like that next step is what the mean is, like what the middle point is. Because if you take away the high of the highs and you take away the low of the lows and you look at just what his average is, it's very pedestrian, if that. It's not very good, if that. I mean, the guy finished yesterday with a completion percentage of 50%, a quarterback rating under 30. I mean, that's not good. And when I don't care who's calling the offensive plays, I don't care who you're working with. An NFL quarterback is not supposed to complete one pass in 2 full quarters. Like that's worse than Geno Smith bad. Like that's Geno never did that. Geno never did that. And Geno was playing with worse weapons than what Sam had to deal with on Sunday. Geno had worse people calling plays for him than Sam does at some point. And Geno never even did that. I mean, Tim Tebow, I don't think ever even did that. Like that's terrible. Like that is 1 completion and a half. That's not good. That's really bad. And that's what drives you so nuts about Sam Darnold, is that you get these high of highs. You get these passes where you're like, man, is this it? You get these strings of play or series of plays where it is 1 series, 2 series, maybe a quarter or a half. But as you're doing it and you're watching him, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're just waiting for that other play to happen that makes you say, Sam, what are you doing? And it was, forget the actual interception that he threw, where it was off his back foot into triple coverage and it's picked off. The play before that was a near pick six as well. Tremaine Edmonds almost catches that ball and runs it the other way for a touchdown. And that was another bad throw from Darnold. You know, there was in the first half, even on the play where the Jets had to settle for the field goal, Denzel Mims on the snap, Sam Darnold takes the snap. Denzel Mims is wide open on a little like swing route on the play into the flat. Like he's wide open. Like there was no defender. And if Sam sees it and recognizes the coverage, it's a bang, bang play. He takes the snap, throws it to Mims. Mims isn't even just getting the first down on that field goal series. He's probably getting to the end zone for a touchdown. Like he was that open. The entire Bills defense went right. Mims leaked out left. He was there. Sam doesn't throw to him. Sam misses him. Or Sam's looking all the way right, then comes back to Mims when it's too late and the pass is incomplete. Like there are all of these plays every single week where it's like, in year 3, that shouldn't still be happening. And I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's the playmakers. You can make all these excuses built in for Sam, but at some point, some of it is on the quarterback too. And when you play an entire second half and you complete just 1 pass, that's not just the playmakers around you, because the Jets had their full complement of playmakers. That's not just the coaching staff, because the coaching staff showed in the first half their plays can work. That's on the quarterback. And I don't know, maybe his shoulder got tightened when he went back. I don't know, but like this is the whole thing with Sam. You get the good and you love the good and you're obsessed with the good and you marvel at the good, but you're constantly waiting for that second shoe to drop, because every single game he has played throughout his career, including maybe his best game of his career against the Cowboys in his return from mono game, there's always that throw that makes you say, what was that? You know, in Dallas, it was the interception he threw in the red zone with the Jets driving to take full control of that game. I think they were going to go up 3 or 4 scores. He throws the pick where he forces the ball. There's that pass every single week. And sometimes the defense makes it, sometimes the defense doesn't, but those throws are always there. And it's what's preventing him from taking the next step.
And it's not just his time with the Jets. I mean, that's who he was in college at USC too. That was the problem coming out, was right. The mistakes, the interceptions he would throw, and the Jets thought they could fix that. So far, they have not fixed that. All right, we're going to get to some of the other positives from this game, specifically Mims and Perine after this break. But first, this football season will be different. And Pepsi is here to get you ready for game day, no matter how you watch this season. Right now, that's focusing in on young stars like Perine and Mims. I call them stars. We'll go with that for now with the Jets. Pepsi is the refreshment you need to power through game day and become a member of the League of Football Watchers. These passionate fans are the real generational talent that Pepsi fuels, because Pepsi isn't made for those who play the game. It's made for those who watch it. Pepsi, made for football watching. Go to madeforfootballwatching.com to check out the latest football watching content from Pepsi.
With over 20 years of historical data and models in sports betting and in-game decision-making, Edge Sports is the go-to resource trusted by multiple Super Bowl champions, the elite sports media like us, and large sports billion-dollar betting syndicates. Now you can use the same fully customized models they use to prove your own theories before laying down bets and setting your lineups. Exclusive for The Athletic listeners only. Enjoy 20% off all subscriptions with the start of your 7-day free trial now, or use promo code TheAthletic20 at checkout on edgesports.com to start winning today. That's TheAthletic20 at edjsports.com.
All right, back to the offense, back to the positives. And I will say this, I'm always impressed, Connor, before we get to the offense, about Jets fans in general, because this season, it's been so bad, right? And I was reading your story, your kind of recap of the game where you kind of went into the drive and the positives that came from that.
Oh yeah, I'll rip them today. I'll rip them today. But like, I said,
and you even
I
teased that, right?
Yeah.
But in the comments section, it's great. You see the feedback from Jets fans because they're like, it was just so great. And there's this positivity. Now, it wasn't all positive, but from a lot of people who read the story commenting, there's a positivity that a lot of Jets fans were able to take out of that game, despite how bad this season is going. And of course, all of them have kind of their eyes on Trevor Lawrence, of course, for next season. But it's just encouraging as a person who's not a Jets fan to just see that they can look past just how bad this team is and continue to be fans of this team. I'm always impressed, but something to be excited about. What'd you say?
In my opinion, I think it's honestly just sad. And I'm not talking about it's sad for Jet fans. I'm talking about it's sad for
that they haven't been given more. Yeah.
No, it's just it's the sad state of this team, man. And like, I think the perfect way to describe it is that first half. And like I said, when I wrote that game or I wrote the column after the game, which I got caught by, like you talk about people, and I need to just, I finally took my mentions off of my tweet deck. But occasionally after I write a story, I do go and like, I look at what people are saying on the comments of my story just to see what is like, because usually, honestly, I get a lot of story ideas from fans. Like people will say like, I wish you touched upon this. And I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. But now I can spend the next, blah, blah, blah. So I go through and I look through them because it's good, honestly, information. And the first thing I see, like the first or second comment I see on that damn story from yesterday, which again, like when I go to write it, like I messaged my editor, I was like, look, dude, I don't feel like ripping every single one of the organization again. I was like, why don't we just focus on the positive? Because for that drive, like, which was the whole premise of the story, is like, it's not that the Jets had a touchdown drive. It's not that the Jets went 80 yards. I mean, like the Giants are an atrocious team. They went on a 98-yard touchdown drive on Thursday night against the Eagles. The Chiefs are an amazing team, and they have like seven plays for 80-yard drives 5, 6, 7, 8 times a game. Like this happens all the time. So like to praise the Jets for doing that, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment or like a slap in the face. Like, oh, wow, you look like that's not what I was trying to do. It was how the Jets got down the field. It was the fact that they made their way all the way down there featuring Denzel Mims, LaMichael Perine, Mekhi Becton looked like an absolute stud. Sam Darnold was making passes, and then even Perine was getting in the action by going down the field and drawing pass interference. Like, that's what you want to focus on. And, like, we got on Joe Douglas and the Joe Douglas cam in Miami, but, like, this was one where, like, I wish they had a camera on him because he would have been going nuts because, like, these are his offensive draft picks, the guys that he picked thinking about being the future of this team, and they were making plays. Like, that's what stood out to me. So I said to Chris, I was like, look, man, we do the day after story. We do, like, the extraditional thoughts. I'll go into, like, what happened in the second half, Dowell, Loggins, the defense, like all this stuff. Like, we'll get into all that, but like, why don't we just focus on this one drive and it being the promising aspect of it? Not because the Jets actually scored, but how the Jets scored with the players that they used. Because these are guys, Perine, Mims, Becton. They're guys that when the Jets are conceivably contending and in the playoffs, that these are going to be the guys that Joe Douglas believes are a key piece of that. You know what I mean? But like, what was so sad about this and what was so kind of a little depressing about this is I was sitting next to Andy Vasquez, who covers the Jets for the record, one of my best friends on the beat, one of my closest friends, honestly, just in life. And I'm sitting next to him and I'm like, dude, I was like, I'm watching this first half and I'm like, Mr. Positive, like pig, like, just like, this is awesome. Look at them moving the ball. Look at them scoring points. Look, I'm like, this is the best I've seen the Jets look in years. Like, this is great. Look how great they look. And then all of a sudden I kind of like the first half is coming to a close. And like, I look down and I'm like, they're on pace for like 320 yards of offense.
Exactly.
They have 10 points. Like, Sam is still averaging only like 6.3 an attempt. I was like, this is a off day for the Chiefs. This is a bad day for the Ravens. This is like the lowest of lowest. I feel like this is the best I've seen the Jets look in decades. And this, I mean, obviously not decades, like I'm being dramatic, but like, this is the best I've seen the Jets look. And it's like not good still. It's just not, they're just not like losing their minds with ineptitude. It's just competence. Like competence makes it feel like they're the 2000 Rams. Like that's honestly what it is. And that's why you see some of these like, oh man, I was so impressed by the first half. So I was like, man, but like when it's sad. It's sad. And it's like, it just kind of illustrates the one thing I will give Joe Douglas credit for. The one thing I'll give the coaching staff credit for is that, look at Dallas, right? Like Dallas is about as bad as the Jets are right now. In fact, if the Jets played the Cowboys with Andy Dalton, if he comes back from that vicious, completely illegal hit, if the Jets played if they played him with Dak, there's no choice, or no hope. But if they played him with Andy Dalton, I honestly believe the Jets would beat the Cowboys. Like I've seen some Cowboy games now. The Cowboys are a disaster. And you're starting to see those players quit. You're seeing those players give up. You're seeing those players turn on each other. You're seeing those players start to leak things to the media about how they're unhappy and the coaching staff doesn't know what they're talking about. Like that's the sign of not only a bad football team, but a bad football team that is fracturing in the locker room and quitting on each other. What you can say about the Jets is that they are a bad team. They don't have the talent to compete week in and week out. They don't have the coaching staff to elevate the play of the players they have to get them to the point. So it's like the double-edged sword where not only are you not talented to compete, but you don't have the coaching staff to get you to play above your talent level. They're still a team and they're still not quitting. They're not turning on each other. They're not pointing. They're not doing all those things. They're at least still together and sticking together, which is, I think, the one legitimate positive bright spot to a season that, man, it sure as hell looks like this team's going 0-16.
Hold on. I just need to chime in on this because I'm just seeing this on Twitter. Since I'm operating Connor's Twitter currently.
oh, you want to just, that's fine.
No,
are they like calling me out for talking?
So Steve McClendon had a really good game yesterday, apparently. He played in 25 snaps and he had 5 tackles. He had 1 practice with the Bucs this week. And
not only that, I think that's like a season high for an interior defensive lineman. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read Rick Stroud. I think I saw his tweet said that was the season high for an interior defensive lineman. Yeah.
Well,
no big deal.
Something else.
Yeah, and related, same kind of thing, right? Ryan Tannehill just looks like a fantastic quarterback.
And Robbie.
And we said,
I mean, all these players that
leave, but this is showing the other side of the ball when they leave. So
right, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's you leave the Jets and
he literally had like 1 practice with the Bucs this week, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's the one positive though is he's just back in Todd's defense. So he had 1 practice with the Bucs, but he played 3 years for Todd, right? I think this was his 4th year with the Jets, so he played 3 years with Todd, 2 years with Todd. Right. So he does know some. But I mean, yeah, it's just another guy. And Le'Veon breaking off a 16-yard run in his first game. I'll tell you what, I lost. I don't prop bet generally. Like the one that I feasted on last year was when DraftKings hated Jamison Crowder, and they had like his over under a catches at 2.5 for like 6 weeks. And the guy was always good for like 5 or 6 grabs for like 40 or 50 yards like last year, even when the Jets stunk. So I was feasting on that Crowder over 2.5 for quite a while. I was so convinced yesterday Le'Veon was going to score. I was so convinced. And they got him down there twice. And he was in the red zone and they had to kick field goals. But if they got inside the 5, I was like, they're going to give the ball to Le'Veon and he's going to score. So I had him on like first touchdown scorer and I had him on just scoring in general, and I lost both those bets. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to double down on that this week when the Jets play the Chiefs, because there is no doubt in my mind that dude is getting in the end zone. He might get in the end zone multiple times.
Yeah. Well, all these things are just examples of why there needs to be a new coaching staff here in New York, obviously, again. All right, I did want to... There's
going to be a new coaching staff.
Right, of course. I did want to get into Mims a little bit more specifically. We talked briefly about him, but 4 catches, 42 yards, all in the first half. One reason for that, the Bills after the break put Tre'Davious White on him basically the whole time. They just said, okay, lock him down. So suddenly Mims gets a feel for the NFL, looks pretty good, and then he's facing a Pro Bowl cornerback the whole second half, which is great because it shows that he impressed the Bills as well. And that's just an immediate learning experience. Now, granted, he had 1 target in the second half, so he wasn't getting open against White, but it's his first NFL game. And he didn't back down, right? There was trash talking, according to Mims, throughout that second half. Now, it's one thing to trash talk. It's another trash talk and then catch a pass maybe. But, hopefully that comes. But I think it's all positives with Mims, even with the down second half, because of the reasoning for why that was. I mean, facing a Pro Bowl cornerback in your first NFL game, you're going to struggle.
Well, I think that's the most that you want to take like a legitimate positive out of this game. That's it. It's that You know, you can have the Jets gush and glow about Denzel Mims. You can have Sam Darnold gush and go, Jordan Jenkins. I mean, everyone was like ranting and raving about all these catches that Denzel was. Oh my God, you should have seen this catch that he made in practice. And blah, like when I hear it, I'm like, okay, well, the Jets secondary sucks. So congrats. He caught one on Lamar Jackson. Like,
right.
Well, big deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's fine. Like I'm getting there excited, but still show it to me on game days. What you can take legitimate solace in if you're a Jets fan and be legitimately excited about and fired up about and pumped up about is that you're now have a guy that because of the first half that he had where he went 4 for 62 on 6 targets, because of that first half, Sean McDermott is one of the better defensive minds, said, I need to take my best corner and put him on him. My best corner needs to be on the rookie to take him out of the game. I don't care about Perryman. Don't care about Berrios. I have to put my best corner on Mims and have him shadow Mims throughout the game. That's how we need to slow the Jets offense, is put my best on Mims. And I remember I've talked to people over in the Jets building. I've talked to them about Mims. And the one thing that I've gotten back from them about this kid, and it was the one quote that like stood out to me, was that this guy oozes swagger, that he is so confident, not cocky, not, you know, Terrell Owens or he's not like that. He's not where he's like, oh, I'm the best in the league. It's when he says it in a way that makes you believe it. And that's the difference between like arrogance and being cocky and swagger and confidence, is that when you say something, somebody believes it. It's not like you're just saying it because, you know, you want to like boast your own profile or you want to make people feel it. You're saying it because you genuinely believe it, and your belief in yourself makes somebody else say, no, that mother effer's good. Like that kid can play. And his teammates, Mims' teammates, are gravitating towards him. Like there was a play when he was still working on the practice squad, like when he was, or not the practice squad, where he was still working with the scout team while he was on the injured reserve, where he made this touchdown grab in the end zone. And after he made the touchdown grab, his entire team swarmed to him, screaming, yelling, running after him, going after him, slapping on the, like literally guys ran from the sideline to come celebrate with Mims making a touchdown grab on the scout team offense. Like that's the kind of personality that's infectious. That's the kind of personality that guys love. That's the kind of person that people want to be around, right? I mean, that's like when you talk about leaders and you mentioned guys that like, you know, the right culture. Joe Douglas is that big culture guy, right? That's the kind of culture he's talking about, because it's somebody that people want to be around. It's somebody in the locker room that is, it's not like Jamal Adams with a forced leadership. It's not like where Jamal Adams would scream and yell and make, you know, joke about how he doesn't know undrafted rookies' names. Like, you know, I'm the leader, I'm the best player. Like it's not an act. It's natural, and it comes natural. And that's the kind of player Mims is. And, you know, that all like checks all the off-field boxes. But then when the guy gets on the field, when the guy sees real game action, game reps for the first time in his career, he's never gone 100% full speed against a Pro Bowl NFL corner before. And he goes out there in the first half, catches 4 of 6 targets for 62 yards. Could have had over 70 and a touchdown had Sam seen him on that third down play.
Right.
And then is performing so well that not the Jets talking and glowing about him, but the opposing defense says, I need to put my best DB on him. It's a legitimate positive sign where it makes you say, okay, what's he going to do next week against the Chiefs? And now it's like, it's actually something to watch. It's something to watch and monitor and analyze his development. And, you know, who knows, maybe he can develop into a number 1 option for Trevor Lawrence in 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but you're right. It gives fans something to check out every week. They almost need like the Mims cam now, so you don't have to watch the rest of the game. You just focus in on his routes play to play. Absolutely. All right, we're going to get to the defense as well, because they weren't great, but they did keep the Bills out of the end zone. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, don't miss exclusive in-depth coverage of this unprecedented sports season. Subscribe now to The Athletic. Now's the time to take advantage of getting your subscription for just $1 a month. That deal is not going to last too much longer, so jump on it now. Just $1 a month. You can join The Athletic. See for yourself the creativity, reporting, and storytelling that sets The Athletic apart. As this is the final week of this deal, go to theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. You could receive an all-access subscription for just $1 a month. Sports are back. You won't want to miss breaking stories on your favorite team. So go to theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. All right, let's get to the defense a little bit. 6 field goals, 6 for 8 for Buffalo, which let's be honest, should be enough to win a football game if your defense holds the other team to 18 points. But we've learned through 7 weeks that 18 points is way too much if the Jets are going to win a football game. The defense overall, I mean, when you look at the numbers, Allen threw for over 300 yards. He ran for, I think, over 60 yards. Beasley had 112 yards receiving. I mean, the individual stats aren't great, but this defense was able to, at least within the red zone, get strong and keep the Bills out of the end zone. When you look back on it, Connor, is it a positive overall what the Bills defense did on Sunday?
Yeah, I can't get a read on if this was the Jets defense playing well or if this was the Bills just losing 2 games in a row to two good teams, coming to MetLife Stadium and saying, all right, well, at least we'll have our get right game against the Jets. You know, it's the Jets. We'll beat them. We'll beat them by 4 or 5 scores and we can have our get right game. You know, like the longest yard where the, what is it? The inmates play the guards. And it's like, yo, you know, we just need a get right game. We need the fight. We need the game where we're 10 times better than our opponent. And we're just going to go in and we're going to kick their ass. And then when you go in with that mindset and then suddenly you get punched in the face a couple times and it kind of like steadies you down a little bit. And I don't know if it was that because Josh Allen, I didn't think looked good on Sunday. Like he was throwing passes up there for the Jets where the DB should have come down with it. I mean, I know the drops picked by Bless Austin in the end zone is one that definitely stands out, but there were 3 or 4 more where Pierre Desir had another one that was dropped where the balls are right in these guys' hands and they just didn't come down with them. I mean, it could have been either one of those picks. It was Josh Allen was off. And I think Josh Allen kept the Jets in this game. Defensively, I mean, I don't know. I think you'll always get a team like this goes back to what we were just talking about. Like the team always going to fight hard. Like the Jets haven't given in. They haven't rolled over and died. Like they're not just saying, all right, we're just going to take it on the chin this round. Like it's not what is happening. Like they do still play hard. And when you have guys that play hard, that's when they kind of rally together. It's why the Jets defense was able to play so well towards the end of last year. And you look at some of the players and the performances that they had this week, guys stood out. You know, Neville Hewitt, I don't think he's necessarily a starting linebacker. Maybe if you have like a CJ Mosley next to him, he could be a pretty good compliment, but 13 tackles and the guy packs a punch, man. Greg Williams loves him for a reason. Avery Williamson, say what you will about his coverage, say what you will about how sometimes he takes himself out of position. The guy's a tackling machine. 13 times he was in on somebody. Marcus May getting involved again with 10 tackles, despite the fact he was playing that free safety spot. Liked what I saw from Quinnen Williams. The roughing the passer penalty was bad. He's got to not do that. But
I will say at least he realized as he was doing it that it was stupid.
Oh, yeah,
the reaction was great. He said, "Well, I didn't do anything." Like,
yeah,
you're guilty. So at least there was like a realization there that he was making a mistake.
Baby steps. But I mean, he had the sack. He had another play where he came in on Josh Allen and forced a pressure. Man, I thought Quinnen Williams played well. Bryce Huff, like that guy, I'll tell you what, that play stood out to me more from any other play from the defense because it was so fundamentally sound. And like when the Jets talk about Bryce Huff, right, their undrafted rookie that they grabbed, the guy who we didn't really talk too much about in training camp because there's no preseason and moments to really see these guys shine. What the Jets loved so much about Huff and what made the Jets so happy that they were able to get him and what Greg Williams has ranted and raved about is like his football acumen. And the way that he says, he goes, is like, he has things I can't coach. And he's a very analytically driven player. He does a lot of like the pressures and forget his 4.3 speed and his bench press. He just gets pressures on the quarterback and does things like that. But that play that he made on the end around, that was as football smart as you can have, because when you're an undrafted rookie or you're a rookie or even you're just any player, like it's so easy to get sucked inside on a play like that. And that's why that play works, that you fake the handoff. The outside linebacker comes crashing in. And even though it's elementary, I mean, I remember learning about this when I was like playing football with my little league 125-pound team, that it was like, whatever you do, you have contained, don't come crashing inside. Still, you crash inside all the time. You want to make the play. So you see the guy come in. The fact that Huff saw the fake come down, didn't, even though he's an undrafted rookie, not come crashing down, but remain, then see the wide receiver coming around on the end around and then get up the field, make the play, and not only tackle the guy like kind of near the line, but for like a 7-8 yard loss. I mean, that's a huge play. That's a huge play for a rookie to make. And so I think you're starting to see guys, and even Henry Anderson, you know, we make fun of him all the time on this podcast. He was involved in making plays and surprising me, certainly with what he was doing. So I think that the defense, I don't know how much of this game, like I said, I don't know how much of this game was wow, the defense was so good, or wow, the defense really made a play. I mean, there were still busted coverages like crazy. There were times where you're like, oh, the Bills are about to blow this one out. And then Josh Allen would do something weird where you're like, that was a bad play. And then, whatever. But I think I was, I saw enough from the defense. I saw pieces on defense where I was like, you know what? That was a good individual performance. That was good from this guy. That was good from that guy. And something to hang your hat on. Definitely something to hang your hat on.
We got some good questions and comments as well. One of the Michael Duns is in the chat, Connor. He says the inability of the O-line, be it the players or the scheme by the play callers, to not maintain a pocket constantly collapsing is what lost this game for the Jets. Not a question, but we like to give a shout out to.
We haven't really talked about the offensive line either.
Yeah. Well, we did mention that Becton was great. And, there was that one burst run by Perine in that drive where Becton just cleared people out. And you saw that greatness. But Michael, he's right. I mean, play after play. And one reason that drive was successful, I think, is they were moving Darnold around. But when he was just simply dropping back to pass, there was no time before somebody was coming at him, seemingly unaccounted for.
Well, the Jets can't block a blitz. That's it. And they've had this problem since last year. And teams just do it all the time now, because the thing about the NFL is until you prove you can stop something, the team's not going to just not do it anymore. Like until you show, which is why the Jets see so much cover zero and cover one. Like the Jets see so much cover zero because in a year and a half, they've had like one play where they've beaten cover zero. So teams just keep throwing it at them. The pass rush that teams do. I mean, it's not like these crazy complex blitz schemes. It's just stunts. It's the defensive end comes crashing in and the defensive tackle loops around. And the Jets last year couldn't stop it. And the Jets this year couldn't stop it. And the one thing where I go back and I'm like, I wonder if that's coaching. And I honestly think it is coaching, is because I watched Brandon Shell last night, who got benched by the Jets, starting for the Seahawks at right tackle. Cardinals are out there running stunts. Cardinals are out there running guys around. Cardinals are out there blitzing, and Shell's picking everything up fine. Like I didn't see that last year. So it's like, I wonder if it's the way Pollock's explaining it, or the way that the Jets offensive line coach, I wonder if the way he's explaining it, or the way Gase or Dow or someone's explaining it, or maybe it's their calls at the line, or maybe it's Sam, not the quarterback, not seeing the blitz coming to be able to adjust the protection. I don't know, but like something's wrong, because the Jets gave up all these sacks and it was just blitzes. And it's like, they gave up a sack once when they had max protection. They only ran two guys on patterns, and it wasn't a coverage sack. Like I know coverage sacks, it's when a guy holds the ball too long. This wasn't a coverage sack. This was the Jets literally had their 5 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and a running back all in to protect. And they still let up pressure, and Sam Darnold went down before like the ball was even supposed to come out. So I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why the Jets can't pick up a blitz. I don't know why. I know Andrews had a rough game. The guy that was starting for Alex Lewis, Josh Andrews, he had a rough game. I saw several times where he just got beat. And that was a concern the Jets had going into the game. They were worried. They knew that with Alex Lewis in there, they could focus and help Greg Van Roten. Their concern was that when Alex Lewis came out, who do you help? Do you help Greg Van Roten? Do you help Andrews? Like they didn't know who got the help. Like who was the guy that like, okay, we're going to help this dude. We're going to help that guy. Cause you can't help both of them. You can help one, you can't help both. And Andrews had a bad game. Like he struggled mightily. Becton was good. I thought Fant had a decent game there, but like those two guys in the middle struggled. And the issue right now with McGovern is the guy's dealing with a hamstring injury. So he doesn't have the explosion and the speed to really play like he normally plays. I mean, he's so smart and he's able to tough it out. And like his intelligence is why the Jets want him on the field, but he's not really the player he's been the last couple of years just because he's dealing with that nagging hamstring injury. And it's tough. Like it's tough watching the offensive line implode like that, because I mean, it's one thing when you play Aaron Donald and you can't slow Aaron Donald. It's like, okay, well, no one can. But if Ed Oliver took over that game, Ed Oliver's a hell of a player. He took over a game. You can't really do anything about that. Good players make good plays. But this was one where the Bills were just running ordained. Like there was a player who had a sack. What was his name? That I was like, who the hell is that? Or he had pressure. And I was like, I got to look up his name. I can't find it on the sheet, but it was on my play sheet. I'd look at it. He was like number 67. And I was like, who the hell is like Zimmer? I was like, who is this guy? This guy's like just shredding offensive linemen to get into the back, like tossing Andrews aside and getting in the backfield to pressure Darnold. I was like, who? It's basic stunts. It's basic blitzes. It's nothing crazy. And it's just the Jets have no idea how to pick it up. And I refuse to believe, after watching Brandon Shell go out and have success and watching Kelechi Osemele go out before his injury and have success with the Chiefs, I refuse to believe now that it's all the players. Like, yeah, the Jets aren't the most talented offensive line, but when I see Brandon Shell locking down the right side of Seattle's offensive line. And Kelechi Osemele in that opener, just bulldozing people. It's like, well, why couldn't Frank Pollock and Adam Gase and why couldn't they do that? Like, why were these players scrubs with them that were just cast aside that now they go out and they're suddenly dominating? And Gase isn't there like hammering in on the offensive line. That's Frank Pollock. But Frank Pollock had a bad offensive line last year. And this year they're now struggling again. They're a more talented group. They're a better group because they're more talented, but like they can't do the most elementary things. And the Jets are running elementary protection schemes and they're running elementary protection lineups. And like, you're still sitting there and you're like, why can't you pick that up? Everyone else can. You had a max protection and gave up pressure, like off the bat. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. But you made reference to it. Like you made reference to it 5-10 minutes ago where we were like, well, it's going to be a new coaching staff. It's going to be a new coaching staff. It's going to be a new offensive line coach, a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Maybe Brant Boyer will be back, but it's going to be all new. And you figure you'll fix it. You'll fix it then. So right now, just focus on the young players, focus on the guys having some success and kind of harp in on that.
Well, you know who also didn't have a good game on the offensive line yesterday? Old friend Brian Winters on the other side of the ball. So maybe they made the right decision with that one. All right. So this is from Ryan Blake. He says, Tim, exclamation point, exclamation point. So he got my attention with that. Do you ever notice the lack of leadership on the sidelines during games by Darnold?
By Darnold? No. I mean, well, that's tough when you're watching it from the press box. Look, I don't fault Sam for that. I don't get on a quarterback. Not everyone's Pat Mahomes. You know, not everyone is Drew Brees in terms of like, not obviously their play style, but I'm talking about how like their personality of screaming and yelling and doing all that. Like Matt Ryan doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Like Russ Wilson doesn't usually.
He also can't pull out a close game, but
yeah, sure.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
story.
When Matt Ryan was in his prime, I should say. I mean, they were playing. Eli Manning was never like, you can have good quarterbacks that just don't have that alpha personality of, I'm going to go scream and yell in a guy's face. Like, that's just not how they do it. So honest, like you can fault Sam for a lot of stuff. Like you can fault Sam for his decision-making, his mechanics. You can fault him for the missing guys that are open and trying to go for the, throws that are contested when he's got someone wide open. It happened on the pass that he threw to Berrios, which Berrios should have caught. He dropped it, but Chris Herndon was wide open over the middle of the field and Sam should have made that throw. I mean, you can fault, there's ample opportunities to criticize Sam. The one thing I would never criticize him for is his leadership, is that he's a guy that guys love. He's a guy that guys follow. He's a guy that when he talks, guys listen. He just doesn't have that personality of I'm going to go scream and yell and grab somebody by the face mask and get them fired up. It's just, that's not how he plays quarterback. And that's not out of the norm. That's probably is the norm for the vast majority of guys that play that position. So if you want to criticize, that's one I would stay away from that one.
All right, let's Derek Crossman had
loyal listener.
Loyal listener had this to say, Connor, you've kind of ruined his morning. As if the Jets weren't bad enough and Jets talk wasn't depressing enough. Now Connor is giving me buyer's remorse. He's talking about his iPhone.
I'm telling you, man, like, all right, like, I had to upgrade. We were talking about this, Tim. I had to upgrade. I hit the 2-year mark. I can't remember if this was on air because we briefly talked about before off air. Then we talked about it again on air. I had to upgrade as a 10S. I needed to upgrade my phone. And it was like my phone was, it was to the point I use my CarPlay in my car all the time. And I can't direct myself to the fridge, let alone like to get anywhere for work. So I always use my GPS, but I used to have to take my phone out of the case, blast my AC and put my phone like this up to the vent so that the back of the phone would hit like the 60-degree air coming out and cool it off. Like that's what I had to do with my phone. And I was like, oh, every time. And then of course the battery starts going. But honestly, this battery, I had my phone 1.5 years and I upgraded a little early, like 4 months early, but my battery life actually lasted better than the vast majority of my other iPhones. It was just the overheating was getting so infuriating. And so I was like, all right, might as well upgrade. And I traded in my Best Buy was running like an insane promo where you got like an extra $150. So I ended up like by trading in my phone, I paid it off early. I had to pay like an extra $200, whatever, just to like pay off what was left on doing the 2-year plan. But then like my cell phone bill like dropped significantly just because of that. Because I never told you. I mean, well, I don't know what other questions. Did I ever tell you guys how like I broke my phone at the combine last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, right? Because I was at the combine.
Yeah, so it was the one you were not at. It was the one you were not at. My and that's actually how I got my 10S. I had the 10. So my mom for Christmas bought me one of those Duracell sold like, I don't know if they still do. They sell like quick charge packs where like you rip open the pack and you get it out. It looks kind of like, this is a rock, but from when we went to Hawaii, but like it looks something like this with like a plug, and you just plug it into the bottom of your phone and it sticks out like this. And it's like, it just charge. It's supposed to give you like a 2-hour charge, fully charge your phone, and then you unplug it and you throw it away.
Right.
So I'm in Indianapolis at the combine where I'm out at bars, like doing the whole networking thing, talking to people, blah, blah, blah. And my phone's about to die. And I'm like, well, I'm not going back to the hotel right now. I have my charger in my pocket, but I'm not going up to the bar to leave my phone there. I'll use this thing my mom gave me. So plug it into my phone. I'm like, all right, looks like it's charging. Put it into my coat pocket. 2 hours later, I'm like, all right, my phone should be charged. I take my phone out and I'm like, where the hell is the portable? It's gone. In my pocket, it's snapped off. So I have the little charging thing stuck in my phone, and I'm like, oh, whatever. I'll just call Apple. They'll be able to get it out. Apple goes, yeah, sorry, your phone's broken. If you don't have Apple CarPlay, the only thing that you can do is try to get it out yourself or get a new phone. I was like, you freaking kid. Oh yeah. I called
because you used that was a non-Apple product. Come on.
Correct. Yeah. So I called, like, my mom got them all as stocking stuffers for us. Yeah, we all got them as stocking stuffers. So I called my two sisters. I was like, throw those out right now. Like, you want to throw those bad boys out because they do not work. They will not be a sponsor of the Can't Wait podcast. We're not getting Duracell's portable charger pack thingies. We're out of them. Those are done.
All right, so we're gonna end on this comment because I had to hold in my laughter.
We have to do your picks. We have to.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we'll end our comments and questions with this one. This is from the Big Blue Knight. Did you guys watch Mark Sanchez, The Masked Singer?
The answer is no.
I saw him getting unmasked. So I saw like Janae Coakley, who works over at SNY. I saw her retweet it. I think Samini retweeted. I saw like the unmasking. I've never watched that show for obvious reasons. Like that, the whole concept seems asinine to me. Like, I'm all for television shows. I'm all for some network trying to make money, whatever, to come up with something intriguing or dip into your old bag of tricks. Like I saw Weakest Link is back. Like Weakest Link is back. Like Deal or No. Yeah. Deal or No Deal's back. Like I see all this like shit that was like around when I was a kid. Like they're all back now. Cause I guess it's like, oh, dip into the old cash cow, try to milk like a few extra pennies out of this one. The Masked Singer, I actually, when Sanchez did it, I didn't realize, like, so these famous people actually sing. So they like have, like, even if you can't sing, like the person actually sings with a mask on, and then I guess you guess who they are. I don't know how you guess who. I don't know how that's the last name. All I'm saying is I didn't realize they actually sang. So I have to go back and find Mark Sanchez actually singing, because can he carry a tune? Does anyone know? I don't know if he can actually. I had never covered him, so I missed that one. I came in at 14. So I'm kind of curious if he could actually sing or not. And I don't know. Maybe he can. I saw Victor Oladipo, Ken. That came up on my TikTok. Was Victor Oladipo actually singing on The Masked Singer? And he was good.
That came up on my TikTok.
I love TikTok. I am a TikTok fan. The amount of hours I lose in TikTok. Big TikTok fan. I TikTok myself. Go ahead. Same Connor_J_Hughes. Find me on TikTok.
That should be a drop. I TikTok myself.
Yeah.
Man. All right, we're going off the rails.
Yeah. All right, Marissa.
We're still running around 200 listeners, so they're still sticking around for my TikTok talk.
I don't know.
We're good.
The volume's off. The computer just happens to be on. Marissa leads the picks. That was the one last thing we were going to mention. After 2 big weeks in a row, right? You're what?
I haven't lost
5-0-1 in your last 6.
But yeah. Cody Parkey.
I'm in a funk, man. I am in a funk with my picks. I went 2-1 this week.
Okay, no.
Officially.
So
but then I lost 2 more.
Up on these picks. Hold on. So this is a very important
bring
discussion.
Some of the comments.
Attention, chat. This is a very important discussion, and I need everyone to get ready to weigh in on this. So we make our picks usually for our second episode of the week, but we did this episode on Wednesday night. And I had made my picks by Wednesday night. Tim made his picks by Wednesday night. But Diva Connor said, oh, I can't make my picks yet because it's too early, blah, 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 blah,
Gotta wait for the spreads to settle.
Yep. So we did.
Wednesday was a little early. Wednesday was a little early.
Fine. We didn't make Tim and I made our picks, but Connor did not. So the Thursday night football game happens. The Giants cover versus the Eagles. So after the game, this is Friday morning, I think at this point.
Yes, Friday morning.
Connor texts us his picks with the Giants pick included. And I was like, are you kidding me? The Giants played the game last night. I could pick the Giants covering too. Woohoo! Like shocker.
I did bet them.
And
I had the bet slip.
I swear. So he shows his bet slip. But here's the topic. I believe that he picked that.
Yes.
But if
Obviously,
Giants,
you can't deny that.
Okay, yes. But he did not make it for our picks. And if the Giants did not cover, there was no way Friday morning he was going to send us that pick. There's no way. There's no way Connor would have been honest enough to say, hey, guys, I picked the Giants. They didn't cover. So mark that one as an X for me. Yeah, right. So I don't think.
I would have, Marissa. I would have. I am an honest man. My mother raised me right.
Yeah, right. I bet your mother would agree with me.
So the question is, well, we want to hear from everybody else, right? If you're checking out the chat on YouTube,
just write
let us
Team
know.
Marissa and Tim or Team Connor.
Right. And if you're listening to this podcast,
can't talk about Wes Masters
on the Athletic app, you can comment there too. Wherever you're checking this out,
or
tweet,
on Apple,
just
Spotify, just tweet it. Yeah, Team Marissa and Tim versus Team Connor, because there is no way that Connor Hughes would have picked the Giants in our picks if they lost that game. He would have picked a different game. There's no way he would have been honest and said, I picked this game and they lost. So give me an
I did
X
genuinely like
to
the
start
Giants.
the weekend.
I did genuinely like the Giants at 3.5. I did like them because I thought it was gonna be close. I thought it was gonna be close.
Our first comment from Joe. Team Connor. What? Brian, Team Connor.
No. That's not the first one though. We have a LOL typical Connor.
Okay, Derek, loyal listener, Team Marissa and Tim.
Yeah, Wes Masterson said Connor, she's right. So that's a vote for Marissa.
I see some Marissa and Tim coming in.
So if these year-long or season-long picks come down to
Michael Dunn, leave my mom out of this.
If they come down to one game, you better believe that I'm going to have an asterisk on this week.
My repeat is pick champion. You don't have to worry about that because I'm in a.
Last year it came down to the final weekend. Last year it came down to. So I really don't think Connor would have been. I'm going to start picking the Thursday night games on Friday mornings too now, Connor.
Yes.
I swear I picked it.
You don't have to worry about it because I'm in a rut. Like, my funny thing is that if I just picked the games that I bet for can't wait, like, I would actually be fine. Like, I would be largely fine and I'd be profiting. My problem is that, like,
Whitman agreed with me too. Shout out to Whitman.
I get like the early win and I'm like, all right, let's start doubling down. And then I start picking games that I didn't like originally, but I'm like, oh, you know, I kind of like this one. I put yesterday, I'm driving to the game. I had my 3 bets in. I had Kansas City -3.5. I actually doubled down on the Chiefs at -9.5 because that line went to 7. So I bought it back to 9.5 because I bet it originally at 9.5. Then when it went to 7, I bought it back again at 9.5 for extra points. So I did that one and I was like, okay, so I have I had the Giants one that won, that covered, and I got the Daniel Jones rushing. So I had those 2 that covered. Then I had my Chiefs and I had the Seahawks, who I liked a lot, who if it wasn't for that first, oh my God, they just kicked the field goal to keep a 6-point lead, I win that too. But they, of course, get the personal foul first down, end up scoring a touchdown, and they don't cover and they actually lose outright. So that kind of pissed me off. But I would have had that. I would have been fine with just those 3 games. I'm driving to the game and I'm like, oh man, everyone keeps talking about the Patriots as an obvious cover over the 49ers -2. Immediately bet that one. Then I'm at the game. The Jets line drops below 10. The Jets line goes to 9.5. I'm like, oh, I think Jets lose this game by probably 10 points. I'll take 9.5. Immediately they lose that. So now suddenly, instead of being 2-1, 3-1 day, I'm looking at 2-2. And it's like, now I'm not profiting anymore. So it's,
you should just start making your bets after the games happen. You'll probably be more successful.
Oh my God, I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Oh my God, that's a good one though. I'll give you credit, but that was a good one.
All right. So as we say goodbye, by the way, the spread for the Chiefs-Jets game next week, 20.5. We kind of talked about that last week, what it could be. 20.5. We'll see if it moves a little bit between now and our second episode of the week. We probably won't be betting on it either way. Although
Connor won't have made.
Honestly, if that comes down a little bit, I'd be tempted to take the Chiefs. We'll see. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of the pod. Follow us on Twitter if you don't already. Connor's at Connor_J_Hughes. I'm at Tim M. McMaster. Marissa's at Marissa_Morris. We will be back later in the week. We'll talk a little bit about the Chiefs and more about this Jets team. We saw a few little glimmers of hope this week. We'll talk to you again next time.